this is what everyone needs. So first thing, and in my opinion, it is the most important type of document that an estate plan must cover and should have in it. And that is your powers of attorney. Well, why is that? When you're alive, these documents are in effect. Unlike a will, that only comes into effect when you die. So when you are alive, you're thinking, well, I don't need any estate planning documents. I'm alive. Well, if you're alive and fine, you're probably right. But part of what we do with estate planning is trying to make sure that we've thought through the what ifs. What if something happens to me? What if something happens to your spouse? What if something happens to somebody you care about? Who is going to be able to speak for them and make decisions? And when I say what happens to the person, I mean, it could be a car accident, it could be a stroke, it could be maybe an older family member that has dementia. Things happen to people during our lifetime. And if that person is unable to speak for themselves, unable to manage their own affairs, these powers of attorney are what must be in place. So what we are going to start with is the general durable power of attorney. So let me focus on something right here. It says durable. What do we mean by durable? That's the critical piece. What it means is a durable power of attorney says that this document, this legal authority that you have given to somebody to speak for you, it stays in place even if something happens so that you can no longer make your own decisions. Well, remember what I said, why these documents are so important? They're important because if you can't speak for yourself, somebody else must be able to do so, because if you don't have it in place, then the court appoints somebody. The document has to say it is durable. Durable is what the law requires so that when you have appointed somebody to speak for you and you've lost capacity yourself, the document stays in effect and gives that trusted person the authority that they need to speak for you so that your wishes will be known and carried out. That's why durable is so important. So under a durable power of attorney, when I say general durable power of attorney, what we're really talking about is, your financial matters, your bank accounts, insurance claims, dealing with IRS, dealing with investments, dealing with the sale of a house, dealing with the sale of a car, anything that you could transact on your own that's really considered business is covered under a general durable power of attorney. Now, I've talked at other times about what specific authority must be in a general durable power of attorney. It's really important that if you're in a jurisdiction like Washington, or Idaho, where there's a Uniform Power of Attorney Act, that you specifically state certain things that are in the power of attorney. So for example, if you wanted to avoid probate, then what you need to do is make sure your general durable power of attorney has the necessary authority that says somebody can do non-probate transfers of assets, a transfer on death deed, for example. Or for example, maybe the life insurance needs to have a change on the beneficiary designation or the 401k or something like that. The general durable power of attorney must specifically state that authority. And if you don't do that, then the person will not have the ability to transact the business that you would want them to transact if you could speak for yourself. I really believe that the general durable power of attorney is the most important legal document that anybody can have, because it protects you while you're alive. It makes sure your wishes will be carried out by a trusted individual and that the court will not be involved in your business. And one of the things that I want to mention, if you are married and if you think that you can transact business on behalf of your spouse and you don't have a general durable power of attorney, you're wrong. Why are you wrong? Well, you're understandably wrong. You're on the same bank account, so of course you can transact business, but you can't sell the house. You can't even call on a credit card and have somebody speak to you if your spouse is incapacitated and you don't have the general durable power of attorney. Especially for couples, you do not want your financial situation, yours and your spouse's, to be monitored by the court under a court order guardianship. All right. I spent a lot of time talking about general durable powers of attorney because I really feel strongly that they are overlooked and undervalued. If you take one takeaway from this, it's that the general durable power of attorney is critical to have.